Welcome to Boot2boom Now, the #1 live streaming show, the #1 live streaming entrepreneur show, taking you from bootstrap to booming. We are here every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we are here every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We are here every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern to get your PayPal popping, your business booming, and your life and your relationships to explode. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Boot2boom, the #1 live streaming show here each Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. And we are here to take you from bootstrap to booming. We are here to get your PayPal popping, your business booming, and your life and your relationships to explode. And we have another phenomenal guest that we are going to share with you in just a moment. But before we do that, we have our announcements. We want you to go ahead and share this out. Sharing is caring. Let every viewership, right? So definitely get ready for that. Get your pen and paper out. We always have golden nuggets for you. So we want to make sure that you capture it. Go ahead and share this out and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have, in addition to Boot2boom on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, we got the motivational booms. We got the after booms. We have so much going on. We have periodic announcements. So you want to go ahead and subscribe to our page. You also want to get in our Facebook group. Make sure you're in our Facebook group. There's also announcements that go off there as well, including our resource list. That is in the Facebook group as well. So if you haven't checked out the resource list in a while, if you don't even know what I'm talking about, our resource list is a list that we have taken a lot of time, hours to put together, with over $10,000 worth of resources for our entrepreneurs, whether it be workshops, whether it be, different, things online, MailChimp, or any tools that are going to be able to help you in your business. And we update it each and every week, so you want to go ahead and make sure that you check it out and you tap into those resources, because wherever you are in your business, there is something for you. Believe me, there is something there for you. So go ahead and check that out. That is also in our Facebook group. We'll also make sure that that's in the chat. And we are monitoring the chat as well. So say hello to us. You can ask your questions as well. If you have a question for us, if you have a question for our guests, or if you just want to say, hey, y'all are awesome, whatever it is, go ahead. We are definitely paying attention. We'll be in the chat with you as well. So we'd love to hear from you there as well. And last but not least, if you haven't tuned in the last couple of weeks, and that Boot2boom will be back at PNC, the Power Networking Conference. Here is actually going to be here in Maryland at the National Harbor. And we are going to be there, Miss Jessica and I. We're going to be there. And we want you to be there as well. We want you there too. So we are going to be interviewing a lot of the speakers from PNC. We're going to be there on site. I'll be doing the meditation. Jessica's going to be doing her thing. you know, she gonna come up with something. Who knows what it is, but she'll come up with something. So
you know, oh well.
Sure, you know, it'll be something out the box. So
no. Hi, everyone.
So you want to be there to see what it's going to be, because I don't even know. She probably don't even know. She'll come up with something now. So you definitely want to be there, and to make sure that you get there, because we want our Boot2boom family to be there as well. You know, we are giving you discounted tickets. Discounted tickets to the number one networking conference for Black entrepreneurs. It is huge. It is awesome. Everybody and their mama will be in attendance. So you definitely want to be there too. If you go to the website, if you go to powernetworkingconference.com, you'll see that tickets are $8.99. And it's a 4-day conference, and it's literally from sun up to sundown. I'm doing the meditation at 7 a.m. and we go all night until 10, 11 o'clock. So it's from sun up to sundown. So if you go to the website, you'll see that the tickets are $8.99. But because you are our Boot2boom family, we are gifting you with tickets for $3.99. $3.99. So $500 off. So all you have to do is just email us at boot2boom@gmail.com. Say that you want the tickets. We only got 5 tickets. 5 tickets, and I believe 2 or 3 of them are gone. So never mind, we don't have 5 anymore. So we have a limited number of tickets. So make sure you email us. Plus, there's going to be some bonuses as well. But go ahead and email us at boot2boom@gmail.com. So you want the tickets. I will give you the information to be able to get your ticket. This is going to run out, and you are going to be so mad. You're going to be kicking and screaming if you don't take advantage of it. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I would much rather pay $3.99 than $8.99. You can use that money for hotel, for airfare, for food, whatever. So go ahead and email us now if you want to take advantage of that. And you'll get to see Jessica and I in person, plus all the amazing speakers that are going to be there. You can see the lineup. Like I said, go to powernetworkingconference.com. You can see the lineup. It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. It is
like we said last time, Avalaura. Remember, you can write this off. This is a tax write-off.
Yes, for you. All last week's show.
Yes. Last week's show,
Cosette hooked you up. And if you didn't see it, make sure you go. It's still on YouTube for now. We might snatch that bad boy down now. You need to pay for it, because it was, she gave you, let me tell you, listen, if we charged you, we could charge you any amount for that show and it would be worth it. Because she really told you how to save some significant money in your business. So you absolutely want to go back and watch last week's show if you didn't. But she absolutely did say how you can write the conference off as well. So yes, thank you for saying that, Miss Jessica. Hey, Jessica, how are you?
Check out our resource list. I'm great, by the way. And in our resource list, we also have Cosette as well. So we might as well go ahead and plug her now. She gave such great information, and really just Avalaura and I were both like, oh, eye opened, right? We were ready. We were like, oh my goodness gracious, like we got to get ready, right? So what we did is we went back into our resource list, and we actually put together a couple of different tools that you can use to get your finances together for your business. But we also, in addition to that, we spoke to Cosette and we were like, hey girl, let's look our people up, right? If they have any other questions that maybe they weren't able to ask you while we were on the live stream, if they maybe saw the YouTube video afterwards, can we hook them up so they can talk to you? And she said yes. So we actually have in our resource list the ability for you to speak with Cosette one-on-one, or, you know, in one of her programs, what have you. So we actually have a bit of a deal for you. And you can go ahead, if you Facebook, Boot2boom, you go ahead and just share our link, share it up via Twitter, all that good stuff there. You'll be able to also get access to Cosette as well through our promotional Cosette Taxes deal. So you'll have some access there, and you'll actually receive, I believe it's I don't know, I think we're working out something with her, but in our resource list, you'll be able to get direct access to her. And I'm pretty sure she's going to hook you up if you say Boot2boom. So definitely want to get in on that. With that being said, Avalaura?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you awake?
Nope.
Nope. Because we all seen Avalaura was like,
sleepwalking.
I got 5, 4, 3, 2 tickets.
I'm sleepwalking tonight. Y'all listen, you know you are dedicated to your craft. You are dedicated to your people. When you come on and you do a show, when you are tired, when you would so rather be in your bed sleep, but I'm here, y'all. I am here. So you need to be here too.
That's what we're talking about, right? That's dedication.
Entrepreneurship.
Right?
It's dedication. Even when you are tired, you grind anyway. You sleep later.
Anyway. And I'm just about right there with her, believe me. I just came back from taking the kids to the park. And I'm like pushing them on the swing like this. And I still got to do Boot2boom. Let me wake up. So with that being said, all right, let me go ahead and introduce Avalaura, and then Avalaura, we will go ahead and finish up the rest of the show and bring on our wonderful guest as well. So Avalaura is the founder of Avalaura's Healing Center. I'm getting there. She is the amazing co-host and creative director of Boot2boom. Avalaura's bio is now different, so I can't read it. So, Avalaura, yes, it is.
I didn't change it. I promise you, I did not change it.
Let me see how much I can remember. Avalaura takes her clients from whole to wholeness in their lives, in their relationships, and business. If now is the time for you to live a life freedom focused and free from any distractions, now is the time for you to contact Avalaura. Contact Avalaura at avalaura.com. All right, I got through that. So
what's so funny is you almost had it. Like you almost had it. You were right there, and then as soon as you were in the groove, you just let it go.
I let it go. It was done. It was done. Retrieval process.
It's time for you to live a freedom-focused life. Letting go of those now I can't even remember. Dang it. All right, y'all got it. Look, go to my website, avalaura.com. You can see my bio, okay? Y'all know who I am. All right, and you know who Jessica is too, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So, Jessica is an experienced online business consultant that has over a decade in assisting SME business owners within the digital media sector. Throughout her 25 years of practice, she has worked with well-known Wall Street and Fortune 500 companies, television celebrities, healthcare providers, leading public figures, and community leaders. Jessica really believes that she is here for a purpose. She is here to help you. And God has put you here to help somebody as well. And she is all about helping you to show up and show out by producing your own show. So she's talking about how do you create your own show, your own platform, your own podcast. If that is something that you were interested in and you know, like, yeah, it's time for me to be the star of my own show, go ahead and contact Jessica. She will hook you up. Go to bit.ly/talk2jaw. bit.ly/talk2jaw. And while we're at it, since she is our sponsor, I mean, I might as well just go ahead and talk about her. Because you know what? Jessica, like, never sponsors the show. I think this is, like, the first time. I don't even remember the last. Does she? I don't think she ever
snuck that in. Leon snuck that in because I didn't know it was there until the scene.
So she's our sponsor tonight, Jaw Research Institute. And, you know, she service, right? Do you want to be visible? Do you want to be seen? Do you want to be heard? Do you want to learn the art and the science and the money-making formula behind starting your own show? So get visibility, produce more income, connect with influencers, create content, laugh, dance, and have fun in your business. That's what she's all about. You are the star. Build your own digital platform. And right now you can get 50% off her results producing services. So get on her calendar today. Talk to Jaw about producing your own show. Remember, go to bit.ly/talk2jaw. And again, if you didn't get all of that, go to our resource list. Her information is in our resource list as well.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to thank Leon later for adding in that additional marketing. We have the greatest marketing producer ever. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and move into our popping topic. So our popping topic this week is actually, I didn't know. So today we were actually speaking earlier about Facebook Live, and it's interesting that I'm the actual sponsor of this, because I don't think a lot of people think of their Facebook Lives as being a show, but it actually can be. It actually can be produced in that way, to where when you're creating the content, it should be coming up at the same time consistently. You should have, your taglines together. What are you going to say when you come on? All of that stuff should be in sync, and it should happen consistently throughout the time that you Facebook Live. Now, we actually have a conversation, and I know once we bring on our guests, we'll probably have more of a conversation around this, but you cannot get on Facebook Live and really bog up somebody's Facebook live stream, their news feed, with you getting on there going, hold on, I'm waiting for more people to get on. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Wait a minute. Y'all share this out. If y'all don't share this out, I ain't sharing the content. You can't do that. You have to get on with a structured introduction, with a structured way of what your tagline is going to be. What are you calling your audience? Are they going to be, Jessica followers or whatever, whatever they're going, whatever the name is going. Jaws. You're going to be a little sharp.
Jaws.
You're going to be a little sharp. Whatever you're going to call your audience, you want to make that community, right? You just want to build that community around your show, the same way that we do here with Boot2boom, right? Now, with our community, we have a Facebook group and all that good stuff, but the same way we come on every single time, we come on with the same type of flavor. We always end with, girl, for real.
We are still here.
We're still here. Right. And we're showing up consistently at the same time with the same amount of flair. Avalaura has her hair wraps. Me, I'm usually with the perm. It just, I'm coming with the jokes and the silliness, because your show needs to have entertainment as well. And some people struggle with that. They struggle with the fact of coming on Facebook, or Facebook Live, Periscope, Twitter, whatever, live stream. What is it? Instagram Live now? I mean, like, every live stream possibility thing you can think of, and they're coming on and they're going,
have a live.
Me too. That's coming. It's coming, right? It's coming. It's right around the corner, like literally. I cannot wait until that happens, because that's going to really, that I'm doing. Yes. Yes. Now, I've kind of pushed back a bit from Facebook Live, and really truthfully, I feel like, and we talked a bit about this, like I said before the show, I do feel like I'm bothering people. And I feel like, they're coming here. Facebook is supposed to be the friendship platform, right? Unfortunately, or unless you're putting it on your business page. If you're putting it on your business page, that's where your Facebook Live should be happening. They really shouldn't be happening to your, and that's, see, and therein goes the problem. Therein goes the problem.
I mean, I have 8,000 friends on my business page and 10 people see it. There's something wrong with that. I go on my personal page and 20, 30 people see it. Yep.
So with that being said, right, what's going on with the algorithm there, right? We talked about that. Pay to play, right? You got to pay to play. So when you put together a show, you really have to structure it around, okay, number one, where is your audience at? Because Cool Beans, and Avalaura could probably teach a whole class on this herself, about putting together live streams and going live, and then having the people that you friend as your actual audience as well, and as your clientele as well. But for a majority of corporate individuals, they are not, right? Corporate individuals, usually your cohorts, the people that you're in business with, what have you, they don't want to hear about, if you're doing X, Y, and Z, unless it's for them. So you have to really think about that and structure it around in that particular way. So advertisements are coming to Facebook Live. Okay, cool. So Thursday. Okay, so producer just sent us a text here that advertisements are coming to Facebook Live. They said around Thursday. So that should be great. But you have to infuse that into your show as well, right? You have to infuse that into your actual content as well. Like, is it going to be a banner, all that good stuff? And then like I said, a lot of people get on there and they're just like, hey, so, come join my Facebook group, blah, 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 blah. and then you don't see them again for another 2 or 3 weeks. Then they pop back up again. Hey, remember that Facebook group I was telling you about? Instead of changing it into consistent content and being consistent with it, also having a tagline with it, also having some type of points program or incentive program, something that you're implementing as well inside of the show. So I say all of that to say, I think this is a great segue into our guest, who's going to tell us a bit about when you're in corporate, how you kind of streamline and how you move over from that, right? Because let's just keep it real. How many times do we hear, I left my corporate job, but nobody really tells you exactly what they did to leave their corporate job. It was kind of just like, that's just like a saying that a lot of people say. But you do need a strategy, and you need someone to kind of help you move from that one level to the next, right? Because it definitely
and even last week, if you all watched the show, Cosette was very transparent. And her story, she was saying she left her corporate job too, and she ended up going back to her corporate job because she was not prepared. So she had to go back to work, and then she had to implement a strategy so that she never had to go back again. Exactly. So it really is key, because so many people just want to say, I'm fed up, I'm done with this, I just want to leave. But that's not the way to do it. And in so many ways, entrepreneurship is harder than working your corporate job. So you absolutely want to be prepared for it.
Definitely. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce our guest.
That being said, our amazing guest tonight is Tamiko Cuellar, and I pray I'm saying her name right, but I know she'll snatch. Because as a person with a unique name, I do not like mispronouncing people's names, so I'm just gonna say Tamiko because I know I got that right. She is the CEO and founder of Pursue Your Purpose. She is a proven leader among small business owners nationally and internationally. Recognized for her leadership abilities, she has been asked to speak at Microsoft, First Bank, the City of St. Louis, the Greater North County Chamber of Commerce, and so much more. She has been featured on Forbes.com, the Huffington Post, the St. Louis Business Journal, ABC, so on and so on and so on. And in 2016, she was recognized by the Women's Business Journal as the Woman on the Move. And you're going to find out why now. So please join me in welcoming Tamiko. Welcome to Boot2boom.
Yay. Well, thank you all for having me. I'm excited to be here. I think what you ladies are doing is fantastic, giving people like me a bigger audience to connect with and to help a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs to grow. So my hat is off to you ladies. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. And, so before we get started, we always like to know about our guests. We think that it's so important for people to know the journey, right? And what it really takes to be an entrepreneur. So just tell us a little bit about why you decided to become an entrepreneur.
It was always in my blood, I did the corporate thing. I went the traditional route. I went and got my degree and, degrees. I have 3 degrees in business. And then they tell you, you go and you get a good job, So I followed the conventional path. And I found that once I mastered something, which usually took, maybe 2 years on a job, I was like, okay, what's next? I'm like, certainly can't see myself doing this for the next 15, 20 years. Certainly, you guys don't expect me to sit here in this job and do this for the next, decade or so, do you? So my creativity needed an outlet. And I was always, I was more of an entrepreneur, even when before I even knew that the term existed, because I was always figuring out ways to do things better, to improve processes. I was looking at the way things were being run, and I would think, well, why are we doing it this way? Because this is the hard way. There is a better way to do this. So I was always a student of business. I watched how businesses did things. I looked at their systems that they were using, how they interacted with their customers. Everything to me, like I said, I was basically an entrepreneur inside of an organization anyway, improving the bottom line, bringing in lots of money for the last corporate job I had was a Fortune 500 company. And it was a financial services company. And when you bring in clients, or you help to win clients that are worth $30 million, and then you're rolling in, $2 million in revenue in a year, and then your thanks is like a $700 bonus, you kind of start to wonder, if you're really being appreciated. So that was one of the catalysts to me jumping into entrepreneurship. And additionally, my health, I was starting to have some challenges in my health, because when you're working mandatory overtime and you're, stressed out, I had survived 3 rounds of layoffs on my job, and I just knew I was on a chopping block next, and I was like, well, why would I want to sit here and wait for the chopping, for the axe to fall, so to speak. So I just took matters into my own hands and jumped into my own business. I don't recommend doing it the way I did it. So much like Avalaura mentioned about the previous guest that you had, you do have to have a plan, and you do need a strategy. So I feel like I had to go that route so that I could help other people avoid that pitfall. In order to be successful in what you're doing, you have to have survived the bumps and bruises along the way, so that you can teach people how to do better even than you did. So that's how I ended up as an entrepreneur. I've always dabbled and had side businesses too while I was working, even in the corporate world. So that's a little bit of my story.
You said it was in your blood. And so what was your first, I guess, initial business, or, was it something that you saw in your family, or how was it in your blood?
Well, that's a great question, because actually I do have some entrepreneurs in my family. When I was 14, I actually worked at my aunt's restaurant. And, she paid me here and there. But, family, how they do. But, my aunt, she had owned a soul food restaurant for well over 20 years, 25 years, probably even longer than that. And just watching her, not knowing that there was a seed being planted in me, that I was watching somebody in my family who was actually doing it and was very successful at it. Then, I had a sister who was still is a real estate investor, and they own properties and rent them out and flip houses. And so just being around it really helped to shape my view that a 9-to-5 was not my only option. And so being exposed to entrepreneurship, I think, really helped to make the transition, and it made sense for me. Even even in corporate, there were like, for example, I was a financial planner. Well, if you know anything about financial planning, you have to go get clients. You have the security of having a big name company back you, and they train you, but if you don't work, you don't eat. So it's the same concept as an entrepreneur, as you ladies know. If you don't work, you don't eat. And so you have to go and still hustle and go out and find leads and make cold calls. At that time, that was just what we did in the financial planning world, and you find clients. And so, yeah, that was very interesting, being, young and in my 20s, and just, jumping out there and having no safety net. And it was just me, had bills and expenses, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna give it all I got. And so, yeah, that's what I meant when I said it was in my blood.
But you said something really important. You said that you realized that a 9-to-5 was not the only option.
Mm-hmm.
And that's huge, because so many people think that a 9-to-5 is their only option. They don't even consider that, I can take the same skills that I'm using on my 9-to-5, I can take those skills and use it in my own business.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I even tell my clients, even when they're making the transition, I tell them, you become a student at your job. Observe, look at the systems that they're using. Look at the process of customer acquisition that they're using. Look at the way that they're marketing. I studied the way companies did that, so that when I jumped out on my own, it wasn't all foreign to me. I knew the different, parts and pieces, the moving pieces that it took to make a business function. I watched the finance department, the accounting department, accounts payable, and you have marketing and advertising, and then you have sales. And I looked at the big picture and I could see how it all worked together. Well, it's no different even when you're running a small operation. You just might be wearing all those hats, but you still have all those little pieces to the puzzle to make it all work. So even when you're working in corporate, become a student. That's like, if you didn't go to business school, that's your business school. Become a student. Look at everything that they're doing. Look at how they hire. Look at how they fire. Learn from what they're doing wrong. Watch how they treat their staff. I was very meticulous about that, because when you become a leader, it's just as equally important to learn what not to do as it is to know what to do, because most of us who have had corporate jobs have probably experienced some horrible bosses, and we could just remember back on those times, and you can think of what things that they did wrong to fail you. I watched how I learned the difference between management and leadership in corporate, because I had a manager who didn't know how to tap into the skill sets of her team. And so if you don't know how to do that, then you're not going to get the best out of your team in order for the company to win. So I just watched things like that, and so I always advise people before you make the transition, become a student at what you're doing first.
Love that, because you know what you're saying is, instead of complaining, because a lot of times what we'll do is we'll complain on the job about how horrible it is. I hate my boss. I wish I would leave. Rah, rah, rah. But you're saying, instead of complaining, watch what they're doing wrong. Take note of that, and
absolutely.
look at what would be better, so that you can then implement it and take that into your own business when you're ready.
Yeah.
So for you, with all of that, being a student, watching all of these things, recognizing that you had viable skills that really were very business related, what was sort of the aha, and what was the mental shift that you had to make to finally just say, enough already, let me leave and jump out there and start my own business?
When I had to go and see a gastroenterologist because my digestive system was giving me major issues due to stress. That was my aha moment, because the skills were there. Sometimes you need things like that you need a catalyst to push you sometimes, because you apparently all the other signs that you passed along the way, you didn't get it. There's time. So now you needed something a little bit more drastic to kind of push you out there. That was my drastic moment. That was my catalyst. In addition to the things leading up to it, like I said, helping to a company to get a $30 million client, and then my bonus check was $700. I mean, that was like a slap in the face, because I'm going to tell you a little bit of background about what happened there. I was in Little Rock, Arkansas. I was at another client site, and then I got a call from the VP of sales, and he said, Tamiko, we really need you to fly back here to St. Louis, because we have a finalist presentation that we're up against another major competitor for a $30 million client, and we need you at the table. So needless to say, I dropped everything that I was doing. I flew back to St. Louis. I had very little prep time for this meeting. And they needed me there, and they wanted me there because I was the piece of the team that the other company did not have. So I was like their secret weapon, and they knew it. And so I was the differentiator between the company that we were going up against. So, I wanted to be there for the team, be a team player. So, of course, I did what I had to do. And I'm really happy that we got the client. But I wasn't happy about my bonus check. And on top of that, like I said, I was rolling in $2 million a year in assets into the company as well. So, that's just corporate. That's just the nature of the way corporate is structured. It's not designed to make the little guys rich. They are profiting off of the efforts of people who are making major contributions. And really, legally doing so. They're not robbing you. That's what you signed up for, you know. So when you part of making that mental shift that, you know, you mentioned, Avalaura, is knowing your worth, figuring out, oh my goodness, like, I think that was an aha moment too. I'm like, wow, I helped to bring the team home with the win, you know. And so you start thinking about how much of an asset you really are, and how much more of an asset you could be to your own business. So that was an eye-opening experience, and I'm really glad that it happened, because had it not, it might have prolonged my stay in corporate America. So
I had the same exact thing happen to me.
Yeah,
I had the
Jessica did
same
talk
thing
about
happen
that.
to me.
Well,
Like,
do tell.
y'all were paying for your own job, basically.
We were paying for our own jobs. Exactly.
Yeah,
I was working in it was a tuxedo shop, so it was a little lower level. It wasn't, you know, corporate. However, I was like the highest performing store in the whole district, and like I was in the hood. So for me to have the highest performing store that was outperforming all of these other places that had the distinguished, elegant, you know, like the money locations, I was outperforming. Like I was with, if you know anything about California, I'm in Little Richmond next to Oakland, and I'm outperforming stores in San Francisco and Marin and, you know, Walnut Creek, which are like where everyone that has the money, you know, basically resides, right? And they're like, oh, you're the highest performing store. Oh my goodness. So I get this idea that, oh, I'm going to go because there's a tuxedo shop that's opening up. Not a tuxedo, but a wedding shop that's opening up, David's Bridal. Let me go to David's Bridal, see if we can do a partnership. So I go in, I speak to everyone there, I give them the idea. I'm like, great. I tell my district manager, and I'm like, yeah, so they're on board. Da, 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 da. The next thing I know, I'm calling and no one's calling me back. I'm like, well, what happened? Like, we were good. Everything was okay. So like 2 months or 3 months later down the line, they had signed a contract for like a couple of $1 million. And they basically did a whole partnership thing. And I was like, are you kidding me? And it was like, thank you, Jessica. That was great. You know, it was like, and I think my commission check was lower than 700. I think it was like $200 or something. And that wasn't even enough. Like, even after that, I was like, oh, okay. I guess that's just the breaks. So I went and worked for another company. And that happened again, where it was like they were taking my sales scripts and things that I said to other, because I didn't want to sell. And all of a sudden now I'm seeing like sales script, and it's like, wait a minute, I just said that last week. So they're recording the call and taking exactly what I said. And I'll say, oh, that was so good. Let's put that in the sales script and give it to everyone in the department. But not giving me acknowledgement. So it's like hidden figures in a business development.
Exactly. And think of how many other hidden figures are watching us right now. All of those, you know, talented, skillful, you know, men and women that are watching us, and they know I'm talking to somebody. You know it's time to leave. You keep hanging on to I got the security of a steady paycheck, you know, and all the other things that the mind tricks that play on us. But I wrote this article in Forbes that talks about the reasons, especially women, the reasons we don't make the leap into entrepreneurship, even when we know we're skillful, we're talented, we're amazing, you know, we're doing great things for the company, whether they recognize us or not. We know it. We know it. But then we have these things that are in our mind that play tricks on us, like, well, I don't have the support system, you know, I don't know that I'm really, if I really have what it takes, you know. So that's that fear of failure. You know, we think about, like I said, the illusion of the steady paycheck, you know, and so we have those things that we set up as obstacles in our thinking.
Don't let pension,
But you know what? You're told now, and you know, Jessica, this day and age, if they're promising you a pension, you know, that's gonna be pretty rare these days. And then, like I said, the illusion of that steady paycheck, because you could be laid off at any time. They have this thing now in corporate where they call you an at-will employee. That basically means, hey, we can fire you at a moment's notice and walk you out of here with your little e-card and your box of stuff. And and I mean, I've heard some horror stories of how people show up to work, and especially if you have access to sensitive information on the computer, they'll lock you out of the systems and basically fire you on the spot, walk you out, and so you won't have an opportunity to steal any proprietary information or to retaliate in some way. They'll just walk you right out the door, and so that that's the kind of a norm, the way they're letting employees go. But I just said all that to say, when you're making the transition, you have to get over some of the mental roadblocks that you have, and you have to have strategy. You have to have some kind of plan. You have to be able to have an objective view, skill sets, and how to monetize them, because being talented and skillful is not enough to be a successful business owner. There are lots of talented and skillful business owners that fail. And it's not for lack of intelligence, not for lack of skill, not for lack of drive. Sometimes it's just simply a lack of strategy. How do I get from point A to point B? Some people just need to know, what's the gap in between? Like, what's hindering me or keeping me from reaching that? And my mind works in strategies. It always has. I just think in strategies, like things that might not be the conventional route that people think that they need to take. It might not even be a route everybody else takes. You can't even look at what everybody else is doing to get success. You can get little nuggets of wisdom and extract things here and there. But just the strategies, I think, is that bridge that gets people unstuck from, where they are to where they're trying to get to.
So let's talk about that. One of the biggest questions that we always get when we're talking about, leaving our jobs to be a full-time entrepreneur is, how much money do I need? How much money? What is that figure? So, how do we figure out how much money is needed before we can walk away from the job?
Well, you don't want to walk away with a zero balance in your bank. That I can assure you. However,
that's first and foremost.
I don't know that that's first and foremost, because I recommend that you work a job, either full or part-time, while you're still building your business. That's the hard thing to do, because then you don't have the worries of, where am I going to get startup capital? We have this notion now that I'm just going to get some investor to come along and they're going to invest in my business. I'm like, listen, if that's what you're waiting on to start your business, you could be delaying it for quite some time. Oftentimes, say it again.
This ain't Shark Tank.
Exactly, right? There are very few people who actually get investments for the business. And, I actually, but before I really got started with Pursue Your Purpose, I interviewed a lady who's popular in St. Louis. And she has a business called Jilly's Cupcakes, and she was featured on Cupcake Wars, I believe it's like on the Food Network, and they won like 3 times. The cupcakes are delicious. And I just sat down and I had a conversation with her, interviewed her to see, well, I wanted to know what was the key that drove your success, because people come here from all over the country and even parts of the world to eat her cupcakes, when they visit here in St. Louis. So she's doing something right, and I wanted to know. But one of the things that she, interestingly enough, that she told me she wished that she could have done differently was getting investors for her business. And she said that because you do kind of give up some creative control in your business, sometimes your business, you kind of end up going into a direction that you really didn't want to, but because your investors have a stake in the success of your business, you have to listen to them and allow them to almost become like a partner in your business. And so that was a challenge for her, because she had a vision for her company, as we all do as entrepreneurs. And if you think about it, having somebody come in and say, oh, I think we're going to kind of change, the way that you're doing business. It's one thing to change your systems, but then to change like your whole brand. My brand is kind of like my baby in a sense. I'm open to changes, but not at the expense of just totally giving up my vision for where I see this company going. So the notion that, hey, I have to get investors before I start, or, that I have to have like a ton of money because the saying is, it takes money to make money. There's a little bit of truth to that, but what you lack in money, you can make up for in creativity. And so that's, again, you need somebody, like I wish I had actually hired a coach sooner than what I did, because even the best coaches need coaches. I'm not above coaching. I still sit in training sessions with Sandy Krakowski. I love her. I think she's amazing. And I'm always learning. And so the more I learn, the more I can impart into my clients and help them to expand their businesses. So I'm definitely an advocate for seeking out coaching.
So what about, so one of the things that you said, I think that's so important, is that the best thing to do is to work your job and have your business, your hustle, your side business really until it grows, so that you're not leaving totally, but you're getting your business to a point where you can walk away. And then when you do that, what about, so not necessarily investors, but what about having partners? And if you decide that you're going to get a partner, what would you look for in a partner?
Mm-hmm. I love that question. Okay, so partnerships, you don't want to get a partner who basically is like a duplicate of you. I see too many people that are like, y'all got the same skill set. You're too similar. What value is this person adding? Like, at least, okay, if you got a really super creative person, then you need an analytical person who understands numbers and budgets and projections and figures. You don't need to duplicate your skill set. I see too many people like, you might, I won't use a real example of a client, but I'll just say, based loosely on a client, let's say that you both are, you want to have a catering business. Okay, well, y'all both can cook, but what else does one bring to the table? What other skill sets can complement what you are both doing? You're good in the kitchen, but then somebody's got to keep the business afloat. Somebody has to understand sales. Somebody needs to understand branding and networking and going out and getting clients and making sure that, you know what I mean? So you have to have a good balance, and you have to be willing to allow that person and trust them enough that they can take that part of the business and run with it, So you have to have somebody that you can trust that's not going to do anything to underhandedly sabotage you or the business, for selfish reasons. And then somebody who brings enough of a difference to you in terms of skill sets, so that there's some value added. And if you need to, and you need somebody who can, where there's an open line of communication where you all can discuss things about business and not take it personal, because I see, when friends try to go into business, they don't quite understand. This is a business. This is not personal. I've been approached for partnerships, and I've had to just flat out say, we have two different work ethics. I'm a hustler. I'm a worker bee. I will work. There's some days that I will work.
That's why they want you.
Well, I guess so. I'm bringing that value to the table, but then I'm also looking at, well, what are you bringing to me that I don't already have? Because then I have a hard time seeing how it would be a true partnership. It's more so you coming along and you riding off my coattails, so to speak. And, I need somebody who shares a similar work ethic, because, I don't want to be working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. while they're out doing whatever, leisure things and barely even accomplishing anything. So it helps to have a work ethic with someone that matches yours, because it can get really frustrating. It's like, I'm putting in all these hours. Now, what you doing? you want to know what are. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Laura, like about, what should you look for in a partner? Maybe you're an introvert. Well, the other person may need to be an extrovert. Let them be kind of the face of the brand while you're the brains behind the operations, behind the scenes. There's nothing wrong with that. Some people are just not sociable enough to be put in situations where they can go to a networking event and come back with, 10 new leads. So, just making sure that there's that balance.
Now, you mentioned something about cold calling back in those times. What do you think the new cold call is in the social media, digital media era? What is the new cold call?
That's a great question, because we've gotten away from getting cold call, like actual cold calls. But I would probably say the lead generation systems that you see out there now. I've seen like leadpages.net is a popular one. That's a form of cold calling in the online marketing world, where you drive people to your site who may not have known you or may not have ever heard of you before, but it's still a form of a cold lead because they don't really know you. They're just getting introduced. When I would do workshops at Microsoft, I would actually teach people technology to grow their businesses. So I still have an affinity for it, but I'm not so bogged down with that anymore. I kind of outsource things like that now, thankfully. But yeah, I would say some type of lead generation tool. I know some people have raved about like entrepreneur and some of the lead generation capabilities there. Doing webinars, collecting leads through webinars and different things. So those are the new forms of cold calling now that I see that have been effective. I personally, the best thing that works for my business.
Like, is it just me or are we losing her?
I was doing the same thing. Like,
I think
is my internet? Oh, there you go. She's back. Tamiko, we're getting you in and
did
out.
we lose?
We're getting you in and out.
Oh,
So
okay.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
What did you just say? I'm sorry, we missed you.
Okay. So I don't know the last thing that you heard, but I was just explaining how the best form of lead generation for me personally in my business is through speaking engagements, speaking to audiences live, because when you're dealing with, high performing women leaders, women especially, we like relationships. We want to have some type of authentic connection before we spend our dollars, especially for somebody that we're going to get coached by. We want to know that they know what they're talking about, that they're an expert at what they're doing, because there are a lot of, I don't want to bash anyone, but there are just a lot of people you just don't know if they're really if they're really real. Yeah. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Not all of us. And you know what? In order to be an expert, you don't have to have arrived. You just have to know more than the people that you're teaching. That makes you an expert to somebody. So you don't even have to wait. Yeah, you don't. Some people are waiting until, well, I don't feel like I know enough. Well, you know more than somebody. You just need to find those somebodies and make yourself an expert to them. They need what you have. Don't try to go out and be an expert to somebody that's way above your realm of expertise. I mean, that doesn't make sense. But so. I encourage people, you're an expert. If you are knowledgeable about something that someone else is not, that makes you an expert to them. So we can't get caught up on, well, I don't know enough. That, women especially, sometimes we lack the confidence. We're waiting for validation for somebody to say, had a girl, that's a good idea. I think you should do it. I just think that And I probably lost your original point somewhere along the way in there, but y'all got me on a roll tonight. Y'all getting raw, uncut, unfiltered Tamiko. So
Yeah. So how do you go out
we
to
do
find
on
those speaking
Boot2boom.
engagements? That's right. How do you get those speaking engagements? How do you find those clients that want you to come and speak? So let's say you have a woman who, and by the way, I love the fact that you said that you went and you interviewed the woman that had the cupcake business, because that's, like we said, starting your own show, right? That's exactly what you need to do. You need to build the relationship, and what better way to do that than to interview, right? And really just let them know that you're interested and you want their expertise featured on your show. But moving that idea along, now, how do you get in front of audiences and actually start to speak to audiences and build those relationships? Do those come out of people that you already know? Do you go out and seek them? How have you yourself gotten onto some stages?
It's a combination of things, actually. I started out mostly doing like workshops, so small groups, where I'm in more of a facilitator type of role. And I really do love that. That's kind of like my sweet spot, because I'm a teacher by nature, and I'm really hands-on, and I want people to really get it. So if you're looking for a person that's going to just do rah-rah and motivate you and then leave, I'm really not the girl for you. I'm not that kind of a speaker. I could do that, but that's not really my forte. So I know that that's not where my focus is going. So even from those small workshops where you're hands-on and people can ask questions and talk to you afterwards, like a real person, those relationships end up evolving into like a referral to somebody else. I want you to come speak at, like, well, I belong to the Chamber of Commerce, blah, 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 blah. And I think you would be a good speaker at our women's luncheon for our Chamber of Commerce event. Awesome. I'll come and do that. Or, people who attend my class, I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly how all of the speaking events came about, but I do remember that a person that I met through the chamber ended up being an influential person at a bank. And then the bank had like Money Smart Week, and they needed somebody to do a workshop series about money, handling finances for business owners. So that led to a new series for First Bank. And then some kind of way I met, a representative at Microsoft, and I ended up doing, several workshop series with them for their small business community. So things just kind of, a lot of times it's through word of mouth, it's through getting out there, being involved in networking events. But now since I'm looking to broaden my audience, I've actually had to hire somebody to help source events for me. And so in a nutshell, what my executive assistant does is she, and this is a tip, this is a free tip, so I'm giving this away. It's easier to set up Google alerts for the type of speaking events that you're looking for, so that the results can come back to you and you can sift through them, or have your assistant sift through them, using the specific keywords. So if you are into healing and, dealing with people with their purpose, for example, or if you, Jessica, you're into, how to monetize your podcast or something of that nature.
Yeah.
You want to be specific about the keywords you put in there. When the results come back, you have a spreadsheet. You put the name of the event, the date, who's the contact person. You set up, I have an email template that I send out to gather information that's not publicized on the website. Like, hey, do you need me to come speak by way of, do you prefer a formal proposal to be submitted for your event in order to speak, or is there an online proposal submission that I need to do? Or sometimes it's more informal than that if it's a smaller event. So
nice.
Just having a system in place that you can generate leads, and then like I said, I have my assistant follow up on when the deadline is to submit in order to be considered to be a speaker. You want to have a demo reel because people, you know, nowadays some people tell you, well, you just get a one sheet. One sheets are overrated. You can have one. The rare instance somebody might actually request it. I have yet to have someone request a one sheet. They want to see your demo reel, just a highlight of some clips that you've spoken at. So you start small so that you can have a demo reel. You get, I don't care if you have to use somebody's iPhone to come in and video you. No, they don't need to know that iPhones can make magic. Y'all know that they have. You can make magic with an iPhone. And even now, some of the Androids. I mean, the Androids have great cameras on them now. I have an Android, so yeah, I'm team Android myself, actually. You know, I just threw that out there because I know the iPhone users are, you know, more known to use their video capabilities, but the Androids have, in some ways,
they're
I think
definitely
they have.
getting up there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now I do miss my Android because it had the ability to pre-schedule text, so I could pre-schedule out all of my text messages, and then they would send automatically.
Wait, how do you do that?
I might need that tip. You might need to inbox me.
Do you have
I have I do. Yeah, I have a S7 Edge.
Samsung, you can do it.
Yeah. I didn't know you could do that.
Okay, I'm gonna do a video for y'all. But this is digital media production. This is what I do. So anyway, now with the iPhone, I don't have it anymore. So I'm like, okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this for the camera and go ahead and get the Android back so I can pre-schedule those texts. Because those things were a lifesaver for my clients that had like events and things like that, when I'm contacting them and I'm like, hey, are you taking pictures? You know, all that good stuff. What are you doing? When they had like software, you know, expirations and stuff, it's like, hey, your free trial ends. And this was just courtesy stuff that I did for my clients. You know, this wasn't extra. This was like courtesy. You know, if I tell you to try something out, try it for 30 days. I would go into my phone, set the notification for 30 days, and then they get an email saying, hey, it's going to end in 2 days. You need to go ahead and either keep it or get rid of it. And that would, you know, so that way they don't come back at me and go, hey, you know, you told me to get this, now they're charging me. Because people forget, we're busy, right? So anyways, it's those personal touches that we do with our clients that really make the difference, right? It's really sets the bar away from it. And then I care about all my, you know, they're all my family. They're all my extended family once you become a client. So anywho, I'm making that too long-winded. But thank you, Tamiko. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We are at the end.
Thank you, ladies, for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed just talking to you guys. You guys are great moderators, facilitators, hostesses. So thank you. Thank you. Hopefully we can do it again.
Yes, definitely. I love that Google. I'm going to use that. It's so funny.
Tip.
I do that.
Google earlier.
Google alerts. Set up those Google alerts so you don't have to spend hours.
I hadn't heard that one.
That one's a good one.
Yeah, good. That's one of many things.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. And we got to just have you come on and be the tip woman.
Okay,
we already got we got hidden figures in business. So we're gonna have to come up with that movie concept. And go out.
Let's do it.
No more. Hidden figures.
So business
Tamiko, just go ahead. I definitely want you to share with our audience any closing thoughts and anything and how they can also reach you as well.
Sure. Okay, so 2 things really quickly. I am offering something special for the Boot2boom viewers. So today is Tuesday, February 28th. So I'm giving everyone until March 1st. So 11:59 p.m. tomorrow, which is Wednesday. So by the end of the day, Wednesday, for the first 5 people, I am offering a 50% discount on any of my strategy sessions. So if you sign up for a 60-minute, a 90-minute, or a 2-hour strategy session, I will do half off for the first people who respond. All you have to do is email me at info@pursueyourpurpose.com, and in the subject just put boot, the number 2, boom. So Boot2boom, the name of the show, obviously. And so the first people that reach out to me, I will give them a 50% discount on any strategy session of their choice. voice. So that will help them, whether they're already newly in business and they're trying to get unstuck and move from one point of their business to the next and get unstuck, get some clarity. Or if they're just trying to get a strategy in place to help them transition, to maybe just figure out, well, how do I turn my skill sets into a monetizable business? So then those are some of the things that I do. If you go to my website at pursueyourpurpose.com, then you'll be able to see when you go on the coaching packages, you can see exactly what I offer. You can me, like I said, by email, info@pursueyourpurpose.com. You can connect with me on Twitter, and it's at pursue, and then I know it's a little weird, but you are instead of your spelled out, and then purpose. So you can follow me on Twitter. Also, follow me on my business page on Facebook, because I don't really accept a lot of personal friend requests unless I know people. So I prefer that you connect with me on my business page on Facebook. So I think that's it.
Awesome. I wanted to ask you, why did you decide to name your business Pursue Your Purpose?
You know what? My business actually started out, I was at church, and I had a group that I started at my church called Kingdompreneurs. It was basically for any of the Christian business owners or aspiring Christian business owners, people who just wanted to get information on how you start a business, because God makes us in all shapes, sizes, and forms. Not everybody's going to be called to go to mission trips in Africa and feed the hungry children, although we love and appreciate people who do that. Sometimes God gives you the gift to be a successful business owner in the marketplace. Those are just as good, we need those gifts too. Y'all laughing at me?
Why is Avalaura laughing so hard? Like, what?
Listen, all of us can't do mission trips, but some of us can actually make some money.
Exactly. And we need money. God made us. I agree. And we're just as important. So we're the ones that might give the money to support the people to go on a mission trip. So there you go. So my point is, you pursue whatever purpose that God gave you. So my purpose is to help other people to walk in their purpose in the realm of business. So it's called Pursue Your Purpose for that reason. So I help people to really discover and monetize their gifts, talents, skills, and abilities that God has already given them. So that's why it's called Pursue Your Purpose.
Because your purpose ain't going on mission trips. Your purpose is making money in the business. So you can pay them people to go on the mission trips.
Some of them might. They might realize, you know what, this is not for me. I'd rather be on mission trips.
It's not for punks. We know it's not. Only the strong.
On a mission trip. I'd rather be over there with no electricity than run my own business.
We all take those hard knocks and survive to tell the story. So.
Exactly. You're absolutely correct, right? Oh my goodness. Avalaura. She need to go sleep. Bye.
Listen, I've been to Africa, all right? The electricity goes out frequently.
Yeah, I've heard.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much, Tamiko. I love the name. I love the mission behind it. It's great. So it's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing your ideas with us. I did have one more question. Sure. Forbes magazine. How did you get into Forbes? Really quick, really fast.
Forbes. Okay. The Forbes Coaches Council is an invitation only organization. And so I got an invitation. I applied. I got accepted. And then through that relationship, ended up going to become a contributor to Forbes. So I do have articles out on Forbes. Actually, the latest one that was released was probably a week ago, maybe a couple weeks ago. So if you go to my website on my media page, all my articles and interviews and videos, all that stuff is out there. So you can take a peek at the Forbes article on my media page.
Nice. That's awesome. I love it.
Yes. See?
Yeah.
Y'all learning. Stay to the end. You never know what's going to happen.
That's
And there's
All right, so PNC. PNC, Avalaura, PNC.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you, Tamiko. Thank you for that special offer. Make sure that you all check her out and take advantage of that offer. She has already, given you some profound nuggets. So I'm sure in the 101 session, you're going to get even more. So
forget
definitely
the mission
check
trip.
that out.
Call Tamiko. She going to give you a mission.
Hey, I'm there
she
for
gonna
you.
give you a mission.
And make sure you check Jessica and I out at PNC. Again, we are offering you a discounted tickets. I think we have a few left. So go ahead and email us at boot2boom@gmail.com. Get your ticket for $3.99, saving you $500. And we will see you in July in PNC. And we will see you here next week on Boot to Boom, right here on YouTube at 10 p.m. Lord, I'm tired.
9. She can't count.
9 p.m. I'm going back to first and second season. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be back next week. We'll see you. Love you all. Good night. So I can
Your
go to sleep.
PayPal
Bye,
popping, your business booming,
all
and
right.
your life and relationships to explode.
That's why you
as well
have
as being
a
on your
partner.
mission, right? Save that $500 to give to the missionaries. Let them do that. Spend your $3.99 at PNC. Bye.
Good night, y'all. Nothing. Oh, Lord.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Did we lose Tamiko? Or did she?
Yeah, I think she left. Yeah, I think she